right, my friends, Jared Dukes with you. Appreciate everybody joining me today. I got several things that I want us all to go over. I just hit the start button, so let me make sure we got everything working the way we should have it work. I want to welcome everybody on the X platform. Okay, we got that going good. We got Facebook. Hello to everybody on Facebook. We got our Twitch going in, of course, YouTube. All right. Everybody's going to start piling in here, so I want to make sure our volume's working. If you have any questions, obviously put them in the comments below. I want to start off quickly that apologize for last Friday or whatever day it was when we had a stream. Sometimes when it comes to the programs on The View, they are very, very protective. Even as a news program, a news commentary, video, or reaction type channel, a lot of times I get issues at times pertaining to things with certain subjects, certain entities, specifically The View is one of them. So I never had that happen before where a stream just cut off like that. Again, as a news program, as a news commentary type channel, generally we're able to use whatever we want for fair use. In all due fairness, YouTube did not give me any type of strike or any type of negative anything. They apparently will just have the channel go black as far as the live stream is concerned until such time as you stop showing that video, and then it should reconnect. It was not reconnecting, so I simply just terminated it at that time. So if anybody was wondering what was going on, I wanted to let everybody know, and I wanted to say hello to my friend Mark. Appreciate you talking to me concerning that, and I appreciate everybody's feedback. Rudy, Mark, all my friends on there. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody's name as we kick off here. So I appreciate everybody keeping me informed and thinking about me and whatnot. So again, Mark, Rudy, and my friend John. Yeah, that's exactly who I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. And we're going to start up here. We're going to be talking today all about lawfare. This lawfare is getting absolutely ridiculous. And we have to talk about it today. Wait till you see the videos I got lined up for us today. We have some sitting judges, a Pacific judge in mind that is sitting on the Court of Appeals right now. Surprisingly, he was appointed, I believe, by George W. Bush, yet he is on television, and this is in the last day or two, actively criticizing and coming out against former President Donald Trump. We use the word unprecedented a lot, but this is really, really over the top. So, all right, let's get moving here. Hey, Sapphire, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you always keeping in touch with us and keeping in touch with me, my friend. So thanks again. All right, let's see. As I said, any questions, put them in the comment. If you want to join me on video, I'm putting the instructions in the comments right now. Just go ahead and click on that link. You don't have to have any special software, just generally a Chrome browser, a mic, and some type of camera so we can see you. Just click on the link I sent you in the comments right there, and that's pretty well it. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some of the subjects we got to talk about today. We have a bunch of stuff to talk about. A few things I want to talk about are coming from last week that we did not get a chance to dive into, but first, let's take a peek at this. I want to take a second and wish everybody happy International Transgender Day of Visibility. Folks, this is just absolutely outrageous. If you have not heard, let me be the first to tell you. So yesterday was Easter. And by the way, all my Christian friends out there, I hope that you have had a good, safe Easter and have enjoyed your time with your family and your friends. The White House, folks, has come out, and we're going to take a look at this. Apparently, this was started under the woke administration of Barack Obama. We live in a society nowadays where we essentially have the fringes of our society causing problems for the mainstream society. We are kind of being taunted at all ends of the extreme. And I want to be clear. I love everyone. I love all of our brothers and sisters in Christ. We are all Christ children. I don't care if you're a transgendered individual, if your politics or whatever they are, or your sexual identification, whatever. I don't care. What I do care about is the way that our society is being played. We're being gaslighted. And these types of subjects are essentially gaslighting when you get right down to it. That's exactly what this is. You have the gaslighting of our society, and folks, it has to stop. You had the Biden administration yesterday actively participated in an international I gotta say it right, transgender day of visibility. What is this about? And to have it on the most holiest day of the year for the Christian community, absolutely outrageous. Do you share my outrage on that? It is just unbelievable that they would be essentially insulting. And here's what's hilarious about this. On the White House website, on their Twitter/X account, they said happy transgender day. All right. Well, when it comes to, they have another site that's specifically for the Latina community from the White House, and of course it's in Spanish. They forgot to say anything about ITDV Day. They didn't even mention it because they know that, generally speaking, Latina people are generally very conservative, and they would not be very happy to see something like this on the White House website, especially on Easter. It's just the White House engaging in gaslighting. It's the White House trying to replace religion with government. That's exactly what's going on. You have these woke individuals once again trying to dictate to us exactly what we should be paying attention to, what and who we should be honoring, and what they think is important. You have a tradition in the Christian community going back 2024 years or so. You have this International Trans Day that's been going on for what, 15 years, something like that. Absolutely outrageous. It says that this day of visibility, DOV for the initials, is an annual event occurring every March 31st since 2009. Oh, wow. So it has a long, fantastic history in our country, dedicated to the celebrating transgender people and raising awareness of discrimination faced by transgender people worldwide. So apparently this was started during the Biden administration. Folks, I want to reiterate it again. I want to make sure everybody hears me clearly. I love everyone. I support everyone's right to live as they choose to live, to be free the way they choose to be free. But the problem here is you have the White House coming out on a day, Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, and acknowledging this stuff. Why couldn't they have waited till today? Well, it is April Fool's Day, but I'll let that set as it is. At any rate, they could pick any other day. It's not like it's a religious day that is set on a particular Sunday every so many Sundays into the year, such as Easter holiday is. But they chose to make sure that this was front and center and that it was acknowledged, except on the Latino web house page, of course, as we just discussed. It just kind of makes you think, what in the world are these people thinking, and exactly how do they think under any circumstances that this is okay? It's just trying to divide us more, to cause us to be angry. And frankly, I'm not going to spend any more time on it, because what the White House wants us to do is to be talking about this type of nonsense instead of talking about the economy, the problem at the border, the fact that they are pushing an agenda that is extremely liberal, that is something that they're trying to do to every facet of our life, is to tell us how to raise our children, how to live our lives, what our religion should or shouldn't be. And of course, they believe government is our religion. And I don't think that that is going to fly with many people. And I'm hoping if we all do our part coming up this November, we will be one step closer to not having to tolerate this type of nonsense once again. Wait till we get into the meat of what I want to go over today. You're really going to find this interesting. I told you, I teased already about the judge, a sitting federal judge that is coming out talking directly / indirectly. I'll go ahead and give you a quick peek on it right here, because we're going to jump into the next video. Take a look at this right here, and I'll just share my screen. So you got the screen setting right here, and you can take a quick peek at it. All right, you got a federal judge. Let me go ahead and just highlight this guy here. We got this judge here. This is a sitting judge, Reggie Walton. Reggie Barton Walton, born February 8th, 1949, is a senior U.S. district judge. He is a sitting senior U.S. district judge on the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. Of course, it's a very liberal court. He is the former presiding judge of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. That's that. I think that's that FISA. Yeah, that's that. I believe that's the FISA court that we have talked about from time to time. I don't want to drill too deep into this, but he was appointed to this court, I believe. Yeah, here it is right here. In 2001, he was nominated to the federal bench by President George W. Bush and subsequently confirmed by the U.S. Senate on September 21st, 2021. He received his commission on September 24th, 2001, and in 2004, Bush appointed him to chair the National Prison Rape Elimination Commission. So this guy's obviously got a lot of credentials. He's obviously a person that's capable of doing the job, but these folks never, and listen, I want to say unprecedented. Unprecedented is a word, is a term that is way, way overused in our society. There's just no other way to say it. But what he has done, what he has come out and started is truly unprecedented. What did he do? He came out and is slamming, torching Donald Trump. These folks are not supposed to do that. They're supposed to keep their opinions to themselves. They're supposed to be apolitical. They're supposed to rise above the arguing, above the fray, above whatever you want to say. They are generally quiet giants, if you will, setting back and taking it all in and calmly and blindly administrating justice. So let's go ahead and let's just dive into this since we're already talking about it. And let's take a look at this video I got. I have to stop sharing and then we can pull this back up so that the link works. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Take a look at this here and tell me what you think. To me, it is just an absolute outrage. But let's talk about it after we listen to this. Here we go. Any questions, folks, please put them in the comments below. We will talk about it as we go through.
The New York judge in Donald Trump's upcoming hush money trial has made it crystal clear this week that he is not in the mood for any games from the former president or his legal team, banning Trump from attacking prosecutors, witnesses, and jurors. So Trump has found someone new to attack, Judge Juan Merchan's daughter. In a new post tonight, he calls her out by name. Trump goes after her as a, quote, rabid Trump hater because she's done work for Democratic campaigns.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. This daughter of this Judge Merchant. It's extremely interesting, and it's not as you would expect, exactly as she is trying to make it out to be.
In the past, he didn't stop there. He also accused her of posting a picture of him behind bars, which Trump says, quote, makes it completely impossible for me to get a fair trial. I should note, however, that is apparently not true. And the New York State court system says that long ago, Judge Merchan's daughter abandoned that Twitter account and that it's also not linked to her email. Even so, she's a private citizen. She's not party to this case. I should note that the gag order that the judge did put in place earlier this week doesn't apply to himself nor to his family. Tonight, I want to bring in senior U.S. District Judge Reggie Walton, who was nominated for judgeships by both Presidents Bush 41 and 43. And it's great to have you here, Judge, tonight. And I just want to say thank you for joining us. And I think to a lot of people, the dangers of attacking a judge and his family and their family is clear. I wonder how you would respond to something like this.
Well, it's very disconcerting to have someone making comments about a judge, and it's particularly problematic when those comments are in the form of a threat, especially if they're directed at one's family. I mean, we do these.
Folks, I have to tell you, just so you understand what's going on here, because I don't want anybody to be under any kind of misunderstanding whatsoever. I'm going to let them go ahead and talk without giving a lot of commentary because I want you to hear this clearly for yourself. But it's not the president necessarily attacking a judge. And even if he is attacking the judge, he's using words. Our country is slipping into a dangerous situation where we are trying to criminalize words. We have a right to speak up for an injustice. Even a judge is not untouchable as far as words, as far as saying we're not getting a fair shake. This is not fair. And this judge's daughter, they're trying to act like she's some type of child. This is a grown adult woman with her own businesses, her own companies, whatever. We're going to dive into it deeply here in just a second. She is also somebody that is a big time Democratic operative. She's raising like $93 million for the Democrats or their causes. And she has some kind of association with Adam Schiff. And we know what President Donald Trump calls this guy. And I cannot stand this man. What a evil, what a lying, what a two-faced individual we have in Republican Adam Schiff out of California. And I believe he's actually trying to run for the U.S. Senate right now. Hopefully he does not achieve that goal. But I just want to make sure we're clear about this. It's not that President Trump has come out talking about some judge that's weak or not able to defend himself. This is one of the judges that's hammering him with a gag order and hammering him with this rush to judgment, this rush trial out of New York City with Alan Bragg, trying to hammer him over an alleged payment to a porn star, if you can believe it. So I just want to set the stage for this so no one's under any misunderstanding what's going on here, because you have to understand the context, and we're going to go ahead and play through.
Charles, because we're committed to the rule of law and we believe in the rule of law, and the rule of law can only function effectively when we have judges who are prepared to carry out their duties without the threat of potential physical harm.
And you know personally, I mean, what this is like. Someone threatened your daughter once as well.
Yes, threatened me one day, and then the next day called and made a threat against my daughter, and also had indicated my address.
Notice how they're conflating his daughter, and the way they're putting it is almost like President Trump is responsible for this. They're talking about different subjects, different threats, different situations. Just keep that in mind, please.
So they obviously had done some research to find out that I had a daughter and what her name was, and also where I live.
I mean, what's that even? That must be terrifying.
Well, it is, but you kind of have to appreciate that you can't let that impact on how you live your life and how you treat litigants who are before you, because even though threats may be made against you and against your family, you still have an obligation to ensure that everybody who comes into your courtroom is treated fairly, regardless of who they are or what they've done. But nonetheless, it is very troubling, because I think it is an attack on the rule of law when judges are threatened, and particularly when their family is threatened. And it's something that's wrong and should not happen.
Given that, I mean, and you said it shouldn't impact your work, but it's got to be something that's always kind of in the back of your mind when you're going to work, when you're leaving, to have those kinds of threats hanging out there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's a reality that it's not inconceivable that something could happen. We always have to hope that it doesn't occur. But, you know, several years ago, one of my colleagues up in New Jersey, her husband was seriously injured. And sadly, her son was killed. And we had a judge out in Chicago who someone came after her. And fortunately, she was not there, but her family members were. And several of them lost their lives. So it's a reality that we live with, but you try not to let it impact on your day-to-day life.
I don't expect you to get political here, obviously, but do you think that's something that Donald Trump considered?
Yeah, I don't expect you to get political here, but I love how they always try to throw that in. It's hilarious the way they try to conflate these issues, put these issues together. But folks, I know when we talk about it, that's the sole purpose of my channel, the sole purpose of why I talk about these type of subjects, because we have to put a stop to these lies, the indoctrinations, the half-truths, the gaslighting, the media acting the way they act and feeling like they're entitled and they're just going to get away with it without anybody questioning them. It has to stop. This nonsense going on has to stop. And Gladys, you're absolutely right. What about Judge Kavanaugh? I mean, they're acting like the Democrats never question a judge, never speak ill of a judge, never say anything about a judge that's before them in Congress or that they have a case in front of. That is simply false. It's a false narrative. It's a lie, another fantastic lie. So you have this judge who, I want to remind you, is sitting on the Circuit Court of Appeals out of, District of Columbia. He's a sitting senior judge from that Court of Appeals, and he's out speaking out, and everybody knows he's speaking out against Donald Trump. It is just an outrage. And the way these liberal reporters, look at this girl with this smile, and you're right, again, Gladys, her smile bugs me. It's just these people think they can get away with this. American Nana, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. I wanted to answer Gladys' question real quick. The other day, we were talking about that at the top of the channel here. The bottom line is, the other day when I was talking about, what was it? We had The View on. Some of these programs, even though my channel is a news commentary, video reaction type channel, I generally can use whatever I want to use because it's in the capacity of fair use, education, commentary, kind of like I'm doing now. This is someone else's video off the news. Admittedly, the news has a low bar as far as allowing somebody to essentially talk about their content, but other platforms such as ABC, specifically The View, I have used their content before in videos. I have not, to my knowledge, used it on a live stream, and I probably pressed my luck, and I did, and that's when they went ahead and blacked the live stream. I did not know how to react to that. Frankly, I didn't know what was going on. So the way it's supposed to work is, if there's something that they're bots, they have these bots that always, the bots on YouTube are really good. I have to say, they will stop any type of misuse of someone else's work product. And obviously ABC is very, very guarded when it comes to The View. I don't particularly understand why, but that's a decision for them to make. However, in all fairness, to YouTube, it was not a strike on my channel. It's not a negative anything on my channel, but what they do is they let it go black until you stop using that video, and then it should resume as normal. But I did not know that. Y'all know I am still relatively new as far as the live streaming type thing is concerned, but I am trying to work on that and make that even better. So I want to make sure, again, I apologize to everyone and anybody that's listening to this after this broadcast is posted. It was just accidental, and it is something I hope that doesn't repeat itself. I know that that is disappointing when you get cut off, but it is what it is. It happens. So appreciate everybody's understanding on that. But let's go back here. All right. So Glass, I got your question answered. Anybody else got anything? All right. Yeah. Thanks, Gladys. Appreciate you joining us like with everyone else here. Okay. So let's keep drilling on what we're discussing right here. I want to keep this up because this is good stuff right here. And you can just see, this is one of many examples how there's always rules when it comes to Donald Trump and his rights and everybody else. The news media thinks that they're entitled. This legacy media, these woke individuals, they love to keep us all gaslit. They love to keep us all aggravated. They love to occupy our thinking time with their nonsense. When you have Transgender Day on Easter, and the White House publicly acknowledges it, it's just a outrage. And now we can go ahead and add this judge to the mix right here. And wait till you see what CNBC a little bit later is trying to do, trying to say Donald Trump has committed a crime. So stay tuned for that. Let's get right back into this here.
When he posts something like this,
I can't get into someone's mind to say whether they appreciate the impact that they're doing, but I would think that any reasonable thinking person would appreciate that when they say things that can sometimes resonate with others. And I think that's particularly true when you have somebody who has status in our society and they make certain statements. It can cause people to act on those statements, even if they don't necessarily intend for someone to do so. So I think it's very important that people in positions of authority be very circumspect in reference to the things that they say, so that they're not causing others to act on what they say and maybe cause injury or death to someone as a result of that.
What do you make of how the judge here, Judge Juan Merchan, didn't include himself or his family in the gag order?
Yeah, I understand why he wouldn't do that. I mean, again, I think we cannot make ourselves a part of the case.
It could be because it's illegal to do that and a violation of the president's First Amendment rights.
I mean, obviously we are a part of the case because we're presiding over the proceeding, but we can't make the case in the issue about us. And that can be very difficult, but it comes with the territory. I mean, first and foremost, when we take the oath of office, we have an obligation to make sure that all parties who enter our courtroom receive a fair adjudication, regardless of who they are, what their politics are, or what they've alleged to have done. And therefore, I think it's crucial that judges not make themselves a part of the issue. So I think the judge did the right thing by not including himself in the gag order.
You're someone who has always been really straightforward in your assessment of the former president. You know, if you read your comments when you're sentencing people, when you're in these cases, you once referred to him as a charlatan at the sentencing of a January 6th defendant. I know you've gotten a lot of those cases before you. You've said that you don't think he cares about democracy, only power. That you once seemed to suggest you weren't sure he'd accept defeat if he lost in this election. Do you still feel that way tonight?
I'd rather not comment on that. I mean, I've made those, the comments I've made in the context of the sentencings I impose, because I'm hoping that what I say to the individuals who I'm sentencing will resonate with them and cause them to rethink the activity that they engaged in that brought them before the court, and hopefully deter them from engaging in further conduct of that nature in the future.
Have you been on the receiving end of more threats since you've had the January 6th defendants in your court?
Yes, I've had more threats than what used to be the case. Yes, I have received a greater number of threats as a result of that incident, and the fact that cases arising out of that incident have appeared before me. I mean, it was rare. I've been a judge for over 40 years. And this is a new phenomenon. I'm not saying that it didn't happen before, but it was very rare that I would ever receive any type of a threat, regardless of what type of cases I was handling. And unfortunately, that is no longer the case. I know the Marshal Service has seen a significant increase in the number of threats against judges. And I think obviously that's very, very, very concerning.
You know, it's rare that we get to hear from a sitting federal judge, but obviously this is a gravely important issue.
Yeah, not only is it rare, it's never happened before, at least to my knowledge. If y'all know something different, let me know. But that's the point of this particular video, among other points, is that this guy, his actions are wholly inappropriate.
I wonder what made you speak out tonight and speak publicly.
Well, I am concerned because, like I say, we have had judges who've lost their lives, or family members have lost their lives as a result of individuals who have been litigants in their courtroom. And I think it's important, in order to preserve our democracy, that we maintain the rule of law. And the rule of law can only be maintained if we have independent judicial officers who are able to do their job and ensure that the laws are in fact enforced, and that the laws are applied equally to everybody who appears in our courthouse. And I think it's important that as judges we speak out and say things in reference to things that conceivably are going to impact on the process, because if we don't have a viable court system that's able to function efficiently, then we have tyranny. And I don't think that would be good for the future of our country.
Well, this judge really tells you like it's not, because what he doesn't tell you, it's not the judge's position to go before the cameras, go into the press and make comments like this. He's acting wholly inappropriate. That's the reason why it's never done, unless you're Fani Willis, but she's not a judge. She's a district attorney. But a judge, especially a judge, rarely will go on camera like this and make comments directly about a case, or even indirectly / directly pertaining to a current president of the United States, or a person running for president of the United States. It is just so wrong on so many levels. And it always is laughable to me. I mean, it's really amazing. They, on one hand, will keep telling, hey, Donald Trump is not above the law. He's not above the law. And they just keep pounding that into your brain all the time, right? Well, guess what? He's also not below the law. So when you hear Donald Trump is trying to stall his cases, that, Donald Trump is doing that, yes, he is. You bet he is, because he has a right to. Despite what they say, the state and or the government does not have a right to a speedy trial. That is not their right. The right to a speedy trial is by the defendant, if the defendant chooses to exercise that particular right. So Donald Trump has a right to slow the trial down, to make sure he gets a fair use of all of his adjudication type of rights, his due process rights, if you will. And it's not anybody else's decision to step back and say, or it's their prerogative to step back and say, hey, he's doing something wrong. He's above the law. No, this is the way it works, folks. And why do you think they waited 3.5 years to bring all these charges against former President Donald Trump? Well, we all know the reason why. They know that if they can keep him, their best chance of winning is to keep him tied up in court. Because unlike a civil trial, when it's a criminal trial, Donald Trump is compelled to be in the courtroom, which means he can't be out campaigning. He can't be talking to you like I'm talking to you right now. He has to sit in that courtroom and listening to this nonsense all day. So if it goes forward on April 15th, he's going to have to sit before this judge and a New York jury. When they say it's a jury of his peers, there's no jury of his peers. It's a jury of Democrats. It's New York City, downtown New York City. Everybody on that jury is more than likely going to be a Democrat, and they do not like Donald Trump. It's just that simple. The judge does not like Donald Trump. The judge, it's right to point out that his daughter is a known Democrat, a devoted Democrat, a Democrat that is aligned with Adam Schiff. And we're going to take a look at that next and just see how outrageous all of this is. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen again with you here. Let's talk about and make sure we're very clear on what we're talking about, because I want to make sure that I draw these lines very clearly so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, take a look at this. Okay, the judge that is handling this campaign, or this first case, if you will, the one out of New York City with Alvin Bragg, his last name is Merchant, Judge Merchant. I believe it's Michael Merchant. Well, the judge's daughter, Lauren Merchant, is president of Authentic Campaigns, a Chicago-based progressive political consulting firm whose, now get this, whose top clients include California Representative Adam Schiff. Again, you know what former President Donald Trump calls him. It goes on, who was the lead prosecutor in Trump's first impeachment trial and the Senate Majority PAC, a major party fundraiser. So Adam Schiff, I believe he's currently running to be Senate to replace, Dianne Feinstein's seat out of California. You don't get anyone more partisan, anyone more evil in my mind, as far as a woke, progressive, lunatic, liberal Democrat than Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is the poster child for everything that's wrong with the Democratic Party, in my humble opinion. So he is closely affiliated with Lauren Merchant, who is the adult daughter of Judge Merchant, who is the one trying to prosecute Donald Trump, or at least he's the head of the case. He's the judge, and he's clearly a Democratic partisan. I mean, right? This is not too hard to understand. I don't know why anyone has trouble understanding this. Donald Trump has a right to call this out for what it is. And so the judge decides he's going to go ahead and push a gag order to protect the daughter like this. What's going on about this? This is nuts. Let's take a look at this here. Okay, who is Judge Merchant's daughter? And this is from Newsweek. This is a current article here. Trump attacks super liberal exec. So this is the bad news, if you will, if I could say it in that particular man. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it says. Donald Trump attacked Lauren Merchant, the daughter of Judge Juan Merchant. So his first name is Juan Merchant, who is presiding over the Manhattan hush money case against the former President Donald Trump, on social media on Tuesday, claiming to be a top executive at a super liberal Democratic firm who works for crooked President Joe Biden. That's obviously what former President Donald Trump said. In a post on a social media platform, Truth Social, Trump wrote, Judge Juan Merchant, a very distinguished looking man, nevertheless a true and certified Trump hater who suffers from a very serious case of Trump derangement syndrome. In other words, he hates me. His daughter is a senior executive at a super liberal Democratic firm that works for Democratic California Representative Adam Schiff, the Democratic National Committee Dem, Senate Majority PAC, and even crooked Joe Biden. So he's on the attack, obviously, against this injustice. It's these folks are closely tied to Adam Schiff, who was the lead prosecutor when Trump was facing and actually did have his impeachment hearing that took on. So anyway, moving on. Judge Merchant's family is in the spotlight after Trump launched a series of online attacks as the case against him is set to go trial on April 15th. The former president has been accused of allegedly falsifying business records relating to hush money payments to adult film star, aka porn star, Stormy Daniels during his 2016 presidential campaign in a case brought by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And there's a good looking picture of our president right there. All right, and the caption says, former President Donald Trump speaks to the media. And during a pretrial hearing on March 25th in New York City, Trump attacked Lauren Merchant, the daughter of Judge Juan Merchant, claiming she is a topic that we just read that. So that's the caption, just so you know, FYI. Trump, who is the presumptive 2024 Republican presidential nominee, has pled not guilty to all the charges and claims the case is politically motivated. Daniels has alleged that in 2006 she had sex with Trump, who has denied the claim. Ooh, that's just terrible, ain't it? Imagine a porn star having sex. Judge Merchant imposed a gag order on Trump on Tuesday, barring him from making public statements about those involved in the case. I got a video I'm going to show you in a little bit about this and how ridiculous it is to have the nominee, the Republican presumptive nominee for president of the United States, the guy that's likely going to be the next president of the United States, has a judge telling him he cannot speak out in his own defense. We're going to also see a related story that's being pushed by the fake MSNBC or whatever their initials are, essentially saying that Trump has now committed a crime because of something he said or did concerning Joe Biden. And now they're trying to push that fake narrative, but we'll get to it here in a minute. Newsweek reached out to Trump's campaign and lawyer, as well as Merchant, via the New York Court Public Information Office by email for comment. According to a June 2022 wedding announcement in Politico, Lauren Merchant was the president and partner of Authentic Campaigns, a progressive political consulting firm, aka Democratic Heaven Pushing 101. The announcement read, Lauren Merchant, president and partner of Authentic's campaign, and Taylor Harper, geographer, I think is how you pronounce it, at the U.S. Census, got married on Saturday in Mosley. Ain't that sweet? She got married. The ceremony was officiated by the bride's father, New York Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchant. So they're obviously a very close family. The chances that their politics are the same or is probably something like 100%. Authentic Campaigns has listed Vice President Kamala Harris. Imagine that. 2022 presidential campaign, Kamala Harris for the people, the Biden-Harris campaign, and Schiff's Super Political Action Committee as clients. Folks, do you see what I'm getting at here? This is more of the collusion, more evidence, more proof in my mind that the fix is in. This is a big orchestrated scheme developed by these folks, the deep state, as I like to call them, the Biden administration, these liberals, in conjunction with the people in the press. It's just a way to get at and take down Donald Trump because he has to be in court. They're hoping if they get him on some kind of felonious conviction of some sort, they're hoping that less people will vote for him. And that's all this boils down to. I want to make sure we all got that. Authentic Campaigns has listed Vice President Kamala Harris, 2020 presidential campaign, and Kamala Harris for the people. These are two different clients. The Biden-Harris campaign and Schiff's Super Political Action Committee, PAC, as clients. Come on, the fix is in. Lauren Merchant was also listed as a director of digital persuasion for the Kamala Harris for the People campaign in an archived January 2019 announcement. Under her name, the title was blurbed about her previous work, which included Vice President and Director of Digital Advertising at Authentic Campaigns. It just keeps getting better, don't it, folks? According to the biography, Merchant has also had other roles in various marketing and communication firms, including Revolution Messaging, was at Bayard Advertising and Discovery Communications. She worked her way up to Vice President of Advertising at Revolution Messaging, a progressive political marketing firm. Wow, they got a lot of confusing, interesting names here, that they raise money through, they hide behind, they try to, it's almost like that shell game, where you got the ball hidden under the coconuts and you got to kind of figure out where it's at. You got to kind of pay attention and stay focused. Merchant earned a master's degree in advertising from Syracuse University, SI Newhouse School of Public Communications in 2012 after receiving a bachelor's degree in creative writing, business, and sociology from SUNY, State University in New York in 2021. Okay, well, enough about him. So what? The fix is in here. I mean, this is fair game. Is this not fair game? Wait, you guys agree with me? If you do or don't, let me know if you were able to type. I mean, it's so obvious and so clear what's going on. And I mean, it's the fix is in, and President Trump is right to say something about it. So I want to show you this next video because they're going to kind of tie this all together. Let's stop the screen sharing on that. Let's take a look at this next little video I got for us here. I think this will shed a little more light on this because it has to be called out for what it is. You have another judge, by the way, I believe he's in this video, and he's going to be coming out swinging concerning President Donald Trump. And it's just amazing how they don't want him to be allegedly above the law, but they sure don't want him taking advantage of everything that he has at his disposal to protect himself, to fight back, to protect his image. It's just it's breathtaking on some level. Just the way they lie to us all. And again, I think they just think we're stupid. So let's go and take a look at this here. This is again on MSNBC. This is a new video, and let's listen to it and we'll talk about it.
Joining me now is former general counsel at the FBI and MSNBC legal analyst Andrew Weissman. He's the co-host of the terrific MSNBC podcast, Prosecuting Donald Trump. Andrew, just last night, Trump posted once again on social media about Judge Merchan's daughter, posting this time a link to an article that prominently featured a photo of her. There are no coincidences, right, Andrew? He's on the eve of his first criminal trial. Do you think Trump is trying to goad Judge Merchan into doing something that Trump could use as ammunition for recusal?
Well, I don't think there's any basis on the recusal front. You don't get to sort of goad somebody into recusal. I mean, you could goad somebody into requiring that you have tighter restrictions on your bail conditions, up to and including actually being remanded to go to jail. But I don't think that he would be able to claim later that there should be recusal because the judge responded to the litany of things that, Katie, you just set out. I actually think it is about time that you have judges speaking out. As you know, I think the way to look at this is you see the attacks on the media, you've seen attacks on the Department of Justice. You now, of course, see attacks on the judicial system because that is what's holding Donald Trump and beginning to hold him to account civilly and criminally. So, of course, he's now lashing out in the same way he has lashed out against all of those other forces, whether it's the media, DOJ, or now judges. And I think they have every right to speak out. I think that prosecutors actually, up to including Attorney General Garland, should be speaking out about this. I don't think this is sort of normal times where you say, I will just speak in court. I think that it is important not to have sort of unilateral disarmament and for the people to understand what is going on and just how unusual this is. Katie, you and I both know to have a federal judge going on the airwaves is a signal of just how severe this threat is to the rule of law.
It's not how severe it is to the rule of law. It's how outrageous it is that they're doing this in the first place and how they're making special efforts to deny Donald Trump the way you or I would be treated in court.
And Andrew, the Manhattan DA has asked in a pre-motion letter for Judge Merchan to clarify or confirm that this gag order applies to family members of the court. The Trump team has responded with an objection to any expansion. Explain for the viewers what the DA is asking for here. There is some specificity in that gag order that was entered last week, Thursday, by Judge Merchan. But do you think, as the language is currently included in this order that it would necessarily include somebody like Judge Merchan's family members?
So I think there are two issues for whether Donald Trump has, whether there are sanctions that could be imposed right now. One issue is whether his conduct is covered by the conditions set by Judge Merchan in his so-called gag order. And there, I think that there's no question that the gag order is not broad enough to cover the judge or the judge's family. It simply was not.
Yeah, so what he's saying is that this particular gag order, if you will, would not cover Donald Trump making comments about his daughter, and now he's going to go on lamenting further.
Put in the gag order that Judge Merchan entered. And so you can't find a violation of something that is not covered. But that's not the only possible ground for finding that he has violated something here. And that is that a standard condition of being out on bail, and this applies in New York, it applies in the DC federal case, it applies in the Georgia state case, is that you not commit a crime while you're out on bail. Katie, you know this very well. It is, in fact, I remember in the DC case being on air when the magistrate judge warned Donald Trump that the most important condition for him was that he not commit a crime. Well, you know what? Threatening the president of the United States is a crime. And so the question would be, the legal question and factual one, is whether what he is engaged in with respect to posting the image of Joe Biden bound and gagged with what appears to be a bullet hole.
Make sure you're paying attention to this. He's saying that basically Donald Trump needs to be thrown in jail. He has threatened the life of President Joe Biden, and at a minimum, he should have his bond revoked pertaining to the cases that he's out on bond. These bogus cases, they want to put this man in a cage because they don't want him out there running for president. They are so desperate. They are so desperate to have something to stop him with. It is just remarkable and unbelievable that I can't believe this is even real. Who thought this would happen in the United States of America? This is something like you read about in Russia. What is these people? What the hell is going on?
His head constitutes that kind of threat. And the same thing could be true under New York law with respect to any conduct with respect to judges, family members, personnel. That it's sort of an independent ground. Finally, the one thing that's clear is the judge has every right to bring Donald Trump in, to hold a hearing on what his intent was because of his actions, and obviously to tighten up dramatically the gag order so that there's no threats, not just to the judge and his family members, but remember, this has a spillover effect of prejudicing the jury, and also for witnesses and prospective jurors. They're looking at what's going on, and just ask yourself, if you're a juror, a potential juror, are you going to be saying, I want to be on this trial when my name will be known by Donald Trump and his Confederates? If you're a witness, are you going to...
Did you catch that? His Confederates? Essentially, he's saying people that are going to overthrow the government or people that are committing something illegal. It's just interesting how they always throw these little jabs, these little words. It's just a complete lie, folks. You need to make sure you're catching it, because if you don't catch it, it's going to get into our society, into our children, into their minds, and it just keeps indoctrinating people on false narratives.
Going to feel threatened and intimidated by having to take the stand and telling the truth. All of this is a reason that I am confident Judge Merchan is thinking about this, not just in terms of himself and his family, but about protecting the rule of law. Exactly the clip that you played with respect to Judge Walton is what's going to be animating judges and prosecutors to take steps to make sure that our system of law is safe with respect to the former president of the United States, who is attacking the very foundation of the rule of law.
Yeah, and
That's just a complete lie, attacking the very foundation of the rule of law. What is he even talking about?
Drew, we have had unprecedented measures taken to protect the jurors' identities in some of Trump's cases. The level of anonymity between jurors themselves when they are being told in even civil cases like the E. Jean Carroll second defamation trial against Donald Trump, that they weren't even supposed to tell each other what their true names were. They were only supposed to go by numbers. I wanted to ask you quickly, before we take a quick break, Andrew, about this. I posted this on my social media, stochastic terrorism. And as it's defined, it's whereby a leader vilifies a person or a group in ways likely to instigate random supporters to attack those targets while the instigator maintains a veneer of plausible denial.
I love it. I love it when they sit around and they make comments like this, that essentially Donald Trump is instigating people into violence or to doing some type of malfeasance. It is hilarious to hear them say this because Democrats do this all the time. Every single time Joe Biden is in front of a microphone, he is slamming MAGA. He is slamming the Republicans. He's not a uniter. He's a divider. And it's just hilarious. On one hand, they want you to believe Donald Trump is this evil person who's going to overthrow the government if he's ever reelected again. And at the same time, they you know what, the Indian friends of ours would say that these people speak with forked tongue.
Deniability. Andrew, nobody has to read between the lines there. I think everybody clearly knows who I'm talking about. But don't you think, Andrew, we've now, or he has now, Trump has now crossed that line of plausible deniability? This idea.
Well, you think she's ramped up? Look at her face. Look at her expression. She doesn't even try to act like she's trying to be impartial, that she's trying to do what Fox News used to say, fair and balanced. She doesn't care. She's unhinged and she is going to speak her mind. Here she goes.
Of I'm just reposting things, or, oh, I'm just putting something up in my political free speech or in my pursuit in the protection of my First Amendment rights.
Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, let's just remember, that might have been plausible the first time or the second time that he did this. But when you see that you have this repeated call and response effect, you can't keep saying, oh, I just called and they responded. I was shocked. Remember, that is everything about what he's charged with in connection with the January 6th case. Of course, there's much more than that leading up to the January 6th events, but the January 6th events were the sort of, quintessential call and response charge here.
I don't know what he's talking about. To my knowledge, Donald Trump has not been charged with January 6th anything. His charges have nothing to do with a so-called insurrection, which is another lie, another false narrative. If you know something different, put in the comments below. His charges are other things they have tried to go after him for. They did not go after him for insurrection because he did not commit insurrection, and they know they could never prove that, even in the District of Columbia, to a Democratic jury.
He knows darn well how people are going to respond. That's why you can very much have a hearing where Judge Merchan can bring the parties in and basically have the foreign president testify about what happened and what he was thinking. If he doesn't want to testify, that's fine. But then he can take the facts as set out by the government. It can be cross-examined by the defense, and he can make a finding. But I completely agree with you that we're way down the road to claim plausible deniability. At this point, I'd say it's implausible deniability.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, they don't even try. Don't even try to hide the fact that they are so biased. It is just riveting to listen to that. And listen, Gloria, you're right on the money with your comments. It's so infuriating listening to them spin their lawlessness so they can get rid of President Trump. You are exactly on the money, as you normally are, Gloria. But folks, we have to listen. Listen, when I am going through these news clips and I have to listen to CNN or MSNBC or whatever, I have to tell you, sometimes I feel like taking pencils and poking my ears out. I don't want to hear that. It is painful. It is infuriating. It's aggravating. But I have to listen to it because I want you to be aware of what they're saying, how they're saying it, and why it's wrong, why it is a lie, and how to explain it to your friends. I get emails all the time. Hey, JR, my friends said something about Fani Willis and they make this point or that point. How can I explain it to them what she has done wrong? I get questions like that all the time, and I'm happy to answer them. So when we go through stuff like this, I'm glad that you're asking questions, Gloria, and making comments like this because you're right on the money. Her other comment is, I meant they're looking for anything to, yes, to put Trump in jail. Absolutely, folks. If they cannot keep Donald Trump confined in the courts, if they cannot keep him always bogged down with this type of nonsense where, hey, he committed another crime, throw him in jail. This is their only hope in their mind. Instead of facing Donald Trump at the ballot box and defeating him soundly, they know that if he is reelected as president, he's going to finish what he started. And it's not going to be what they want. They have a way of life they want to impose upon us. They want our children raised the way they think our children should be raised. They are attacking our First Amendment. It gets now where you cannot even say anything without it being a federal case. And listen, don't misunderstand me what I'm about to say. I don't condone this behavior, but there was some women's basketball team up in Idaho or something along them lines, and apparently some trucks with some idiots in it came by and was spewing some type of racial nonsense. Again, and now the FBI is looking into it. What FBI is looking into it? We know there's idiots out there. We don't have to broadcast it around the world and give them more attention. And then they're going to get the FBI to go after people that speak nonsense, that speak nasty things. I mean, folks, it's always a balancing act between rights, the freedom of speech versus, let's say, harassment or terroristic threats. Or a perfect example they always use at the Supreme Court is yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. The Supreme Court, rightly so, has always done everything they can to protect freedom of speech because it's such an important right. They nearly had a riot themselves trying to say you can't say fire in a crowded movie theater. And I am fearful that that type of thinking is going to change if you and I don't call it out for what it is. You cannot have the FBI spend resources and go investigate some inbred backwoods, whatever they are, because they said some racial nonsense coming from their truck as they're driving by. Do you agree with me on this or not? Put it in the comments. I really want to know what you're thinking. And please do not hear me wrong, especially being a white guy. Most people don't want to talk about race if you look like me. I think it's a must we talk about race because race is a man-made thing. There is no such thing about race. It is something the media, these individuals that love gaslighting us, they love talking about this type of stuff because it makes your blood boil, it makes my blood boil, and they know it. So they keep talking about it. So we stay in a constant state of being PO'd. That's how these news places make their money. That's how they get you to tune in to listen to what they have to say. And you have to acknowledge it for what it is. We need to take our rights and protect them vigorously. Fearfully. We need to be on top of this and vote in the right people that are going to protect our rights. And we cannot rely on any superhero. No one is going to be a superhero, even Donald Trump. He can do his part and we can do our part by electing him. But we have to call this nonsense out as we see it and put a stop to it. And yes, whatever that nonsense is in Idaho, ignore it. Nobody was hurt. No one was injured. There was no assault as far as I know of, as far as a physical assault. And yes, the world is cruel. The world is a cold and brutal place and bad things happen. But freedom of speech has to be one of our top rights, right up there with freedom of religion, because if we ever lose it, God help us all. So that, and yeah, I'm a white guy. And I've had people say that I'm looking, I look red sometimes. I don't really know, but I will tell you I'm colorblind, literally. So sometimes it's very difficult, reds and greens, that type of stuff. I'm sure anybody out there that might be colorblind knows exactly what I'm talking about. So let me catch up on these here. Sapphire, insurrection actually means to take up arms and overthrow the government. Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you one other thing too. I'm confident they have been planning for Donald Trump ever since he was voted out of office this last election, if that's exactly what happened. So without getting in the weeds too deep on this, whatever happened during the last election, as soon as that January 6th nonsense happened, they started using that term right away, insurrection, rebellion. They knew exactly what they're doing. They knew about the 14th Amendment way back then, and they have been planting these seeds just in case, in their minds, Donald Trump crawled out of whatever hole he was in and trying to come back into power. They have been fearful of him since he come down that escalator that day. And that's just the reality. Instead of trying to understand this man, understand why he is so popular, they want to attack him. They want to put him in prison. They want to take away his money. They want to take away anything and everything that this man has done. And they are so desperate to put him in jail. And if I'm being perfectly honest with all y'all out there, a man as old as Donald Trump that has had as many businesses as he's had, as many interactions as he has had, I am surprised the best they can do is a check that he may or may not have authorized to be wrote to a porn star. I'm just telling you the way I see it, because I'm telling you, none of us are perfect. And when you've been in business that many years, there's always something there that someone could be in trouble for. Someone wrote a book not long ago, something like 5 felonies a day. That's the average amount of felonies a normal human being commits in the United States. We have so many laws, we don't know how many we have. And everything is a crime. Y'all have heard me talk about this before. You have to wake up to these facts in our society. I strongly believe that we can turn this around, but we have to keep doing what we're doing and get Donald Trump elected. It's really just that simple. And Gloria, no one was charged with, that's exactly right. No one's been charged. And there's another Supreme Court case that is pending, that if the person that is that's appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court, if they're successful, it's going to throw a lot of these cases out immediately, because the way they charged a lot of these January 6 individuals is wrong. It's unique. It's a novel. It's kind of like what they're doing with Donald Trump in New York City. They're taking what is normally misdemeanors and they're weaving it into federal election law. So you have a city prosecutor that is essentially enforcing federal election law by taking misdemeanors pertaining to someone's business and making into a felony. That's what's going on. Odd. Very, very odd. And we know what's going on, and we know why it's gone. Zach, thanks for being here. You know, I always appreciate having you too, my friend. Always appreciate it. Sapphire agrees. And yes, I guess I'm a white guy, and it is what it is, right? And, you know, folks, race makes all of us at times potentially feel uncomfortable, but we have to have these conversations. And I don't mind having them. Like I said, I always explain to everybody, I am what I am. I look the way I look. I love everybody. We are all brothers and sisters in Christ. I firmly believe that with every fiber in my body. And there's bad people in the world, no matter what their color is. But we should not, and we cannot allow these news personalities, these bureaucrats, the deep state, to keep dividing us based on how we look. It's like Chief Justice John Roberts said one time, the way to stop putting people into boxes and separating them by their skin color is real simple. Stop doing it. Stop separating people in boxes by their skin color. It's not very, very difficult to figure out. So, and Gloria, let's see here. We will reelect President Trump for a third time. Amen. I hope so. We have enough electoral votes, which counts more than anything else. I sincerely, yeah, you can see the wisdom that our founding fathers had. It's really amazing, all the things they put into the Constitution and the way it works, because my initial gut reaction is one vote for one person, whoever gets the most votes gets elected, but they did not want that. And truly, I never really understood why. I mean, I understood on paper why, but you can see why. They want a candidate that is of all of the people, not necessarily the majority individual for the president of the United States. They want somebody who's a regional candidate, somebody who best represents everybody. And that's the reason for the electoral system. And of course, you still have a lot of these progressive, a lot of the Democrat leaning states, whether you know it or not, there are laws right now on the books they're trying to do away. They're trying to do away with the electoral college system, and they have what they call trigger laws in a lot of states. And as soon as enough states pass a law that all of their electoral votes will go to whomever has the majority votes, it's supposed to kick in, and it just basically subverts the U.S. Constitution, and they will be one person for one vote. I don't know if that will survive the pending U.S. constitutional appeal that will inevitably happen if that ever goes into effect, because it's going to frankly depend on who is on the Supreme Court and if it's conservative, liberal, whatever. So we'll just have to deal with that if and when it ever comes up. But for now, thank God that our founding fathers had apparently inspiration from him, and they focused our country and specifically the presidential position in the way that they did. We will reelect President Trump for a third time. Yeah, okay, we just read that. Good job. Thank you for that comment, Gloria. And I agree, Sapphire, thank you. Yeah, not many women are colorblind. Most men, I think there are women that are colorblind, but not many. Sapphire, another thing, Trump didn't write to check the storm. Yeah, Cohen mortgaged the house, paid storming. Yeah, I believe the allegation or the way that this is pending, and I'm investigating this, and I'll have more stories to come because this is going to be a big deal in another week or two. Is essentially what you have in this New York case is you just like Sapphire said, you have this check that was written to Stormy Daniels. The question is going to boil down to this: was that check written on behalf of Donald Trump? Did he authorize it? And if he did, the magic question is one of two things: did he write it to hide this alleged affair with Stormy Daniels from his wife, or did he write it to keep the publicity down so it would not interfere with his ability to become president back in 2016? And of course, in my mind, I would think that he wrote it to hide it from his wife, but I don't know. But that would be my first inkling. And if he wrote it, as far as I understand the law, if he wrote it because he was trying to hide it from his wife, there's no crime. If he did it in conjunction with his presidential campaign, that's where they're trying to weave this into a novel, felonious case, just complete and utter nonsense. Accurate counting of electoral, yes, you got to count them accurately. Amen. Yes, it's a shame it is an issue. I agree totally. I've had my frustrations while watching you. I'm the only one voting Republican in my whole family. Yeah, I know how that feels. Discussing President Trump is a no. Gloria, you and I, we must have the same family because it's kind of the same way. Now, there's exceptions in my family, but y'all that know me may know that I have 7 natural children. And let's say I have 4 girls and 3 boys. I had 4 with my first wife and 3 with my second wife, but I raised all my kids and I love them all dearly. I love them all equally. I don't play favorites. I don't believe in that type of thing. I love them all equally. Now, admittedly, I might get along with one more than another, that type of thing, but I love all my kids the same. But the reality is, you would be probably very surprised to know this, but my children are what you call on that left-leaning fringe, with the exception of maybe one of them. And it's just the way it is, and that's fine. I've taught my kids to think for themselves and they can make their own decisions. I'm hoping that they see the light at some point and they swing around and come around to a better way of thinking. Even myself, I don't consider myself a Republican. I am definitely not a modern day Democrat. I just consider myself just a patriot, just an American. And that's just the way I see it. I'm a Christian first, I'm American second, and I love this country. And that's really about all I can say as far as that goes. That guy mentioned Trump's Confederates, a Confederate of Trump. Take a look at this right here. Let me share this screen with you. I think it was, since he mentioned it, I thought it was worth, make sure you diagnose these words when people mention something. Just don't let it pass you by. Sit back and think about it for a second. Hey, exactly what is he trying to say? Well, take a look at this here. Here's what a Confederate is: a person who works with, especially in something secret or illegal, an accomplice. See, so these words have meaning. These words have power, even subconsciously. That's exactly what they have been trying to do from day one, is to always paint Donald Trump as some type of evil individual, a person that's always on the lookout for the next crime. It's just the way it is. Have you seen the controversy of him selling Bibles? They are all over him over the Bible gate, I guess you could call it. He's apparently got some kind of contract with Lee Greenwood, some kind of association with him, and they paired up to sell Bibles. Again, We all have the right for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, make a dollar, whatever's going on. And because Donald Trump embraces religion, they think it's just funny to make a complete mockery. Let's take a quick peek at this. I think you'll enjoy seeing this. It's just never ending with these libs. And
I'm proud to
take a
be
look.
partnering with my very good friend, Lee Greenwood. Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our founding father documents. Yes, the Constitution, which I'm fighting for every single day, very hard to keep Americans protected. Also, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and the Pledge of Allegiance are all part of this God Bless the USA Bible. And it's just very important and very important to me. I want to have a lot of people have it. You have to have it for your heart, for your soul. Many of you have never read them and don't know the liberties and rights you have as Americans and how you are being threatened to lose those rights. It's happening all the time. It's a very sad thing that's going on in our country, but we're going to get it turned around. Religion and Christianity are the biggest things missing from this country. And I truly believe that we need to bring them back, and we have to bring them back fast. I think it's one of the biggest problems we have. That's why our country is going haywire. We've lost religion in our country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book. This Bible is a reminder that the biggest thing we have to bring back America and to make America great again is our religion. Religion is so important. It's so missing, but it's going to come back, and it's going to come back strong, just like our country is going to come back strong. In the end, we do not answer to bureaucrats in Washington. We answer to God in heaven. Christians are under siege. We must protect content that is pro-God. We love God, and we have to protect anything that is pro-God. We must defend God in the public square and not allow the media or the left-wing groups to silence, censor, or discriminate against us. We have to bring Christianity back into our lives and back into what will be again a great nation. Our founding fathers did a tremendous thing when they built America on Judeo-Christian values. Now that foundation is under attack, perhaps as never before. What can we do? Stand up, speak out, and pray that God will bless America again. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again. Pray, get educated, get motivated, and stand with me and the legions of Americans asking God to bless our great nation, to bring our great nation back, and to make America great again. I'm proud to partner with Lee in this offering. He's a very special man, both as a talent, but maybe even more so as a human being. He's very, very special. And I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible now and help spread our Christian values with others. There you have it. Let's make America.
Yeah, so what's wrong with Donald Trump deciding that he wants to sell Bibles or partner with Lee Greenwood to sell Bibles? It's just more of the nonsense that they're always slamming against Donald Trump. Folks, whether you like it or not, the United States was founded on what we call Judeo-Christian values, if I can spit it out correctly. Even our Constitution, especially our Declaration of Independence, all of these founding documents have a very, very, very deliberate and thick, I mean, it's all over the place, acknowledgement of God as our creator, as the founder, essentially, of our country. And we are subservient to him. It's just the way it is. And you cannot change history because you want to change history. We live in a time now where we are always going around trying to take down monuments because for somehow we think we're in a better place than everyone else, that we know everything that's right. It doesn't matter what happened during a particular time period and what the mainstream society was like. Nowadays, these woke individuals want to judge anyone and everyone from 2024 that might have lived in the 1700s or the 1800s or whenever. And if they don't like something about their lives, they want to destroy everything and anything connected with them. There are individuals that want to destroy America, literally, because they think it was built on evil. And when it's built on a foundation of evil, it has to be destroyed and we have to start over. This is the nonsense going on. This is what the fringe I was talking about from both sides all the way around is trying to destroy our great country. And it has to be called out and it has to stop. If you don't believe me about the Declaration or any of these other documents, check it out yourself. We all have one of the many blessings we have is Google and the internet, and we can check anything anytime we want to make sure that it is accurate. And I want to take another quick peek. Take a look at this here. Here's our president selling
Former
shoes.
President Trump
see what
back
they say
on the
about that.
campaign trail, this time selling his own line of Trump-branded sneakers. These appearances came less than a day after a judge ordered him to pay $350 million penalty for financial fraud. Bradley Blackburn has the latest.
On the heels of the massive verdict against him, former President Trump was selling golden sneakers Saturday.
That's the real deal.
He stopped at SneakerCon in Philadelphia, promoting a limited edition line of $400 kicks. It came one day after a legal stomping. On Friday, a New York judge ordered Trump to pay some $355 million and barred him from running a New York business for 3 years. The case, filed by New York Attorney General Letitia James, accused Trump of inflating the value of his real estate assets to defraud banks.
White-collar financial fraud is not a victimless crime.
Saturday night on the campaign trail, Trump railed against the ruling, which he's vowed to appeal.
The decision yesterday in New York, you may have read about it. Crooked judge, crooked judge.
But in South Carolina, his challenger for the GOP nomination, Nikki Haley, is trying to make his legal issues an issue for voters.
You can't win.
Well, we
an
know what
election
happened with
if you're-
we know what happened with Nikki
appearances
Haley,
and sneakers.
and I just wanted mainly to take a quick peek at these sneakers. I kind of think they're
Sneakers
good.
Saturday.
Yeah, that's not bad. This man can sell anything. This man's a businessman. He can make money if he wants to make money. And it's kind of funny, if you didn't see my last video or one of my recent videos, I should say, Donald Trump, his first day that IPO went public on True Social, he made just a little bit of money, something along the lines of $5 billion. Now, that's a guy I could vote for president. We talk about making lemonade out of lemons. Remember, it was Twitter at the time, and the bozos that were running that company that decided, hey, we're going to cut Donald Trump off because of January 6th. He's an insurrectionist. He's an evil person. We're no longer going to allow him on the platform. We're going to engage in this censorship, and we're going to stop him from being able to reach the American people. Just another one of these woke companies interfering with our lives, thinking they know best. And what does Donald Trump do? Well, among other things, he starts Truth Social. And of course, it's paying off big time now. That $500 million fine or whatever it's going to end up being from that fake Letitia James out of New York State, he could pay it. He could write a check. As soon as he's able to access that money, he could literally just write a check and just pay it off, if that's what he chose to do with $5 billion. And in all likelihood, he may be worth even more money by the 6 months. After 6 months runs down, he can go ahead at that point and sell his stock or some of his stock if he chooses to do so, but he may very well just hang on to it. This Donald Trump, as you know, he is worth a ton of money. Forbes has conservatively said he's worth at least 2.7 billion before the additional $5 billion was added to his collection. So, he's doing pretty good. Folks, I am so glad that we always take a look. No matter what the liberal folks say, we always take a look at what the reality is that's going on, and we call it out for what it is. And I want to briefly switch over because we have to now talk about Letitia James. Before we do that, I want to talk about this comment I have started. And Gloria, you are right on the money. I put a star beside this today. This is fantastic. And I think this is a type of statement that should be shouted everywhere, because this is exactly it. Let me quote you here. I'm voting for his policies, not his personality. And you know what? That is so right. Donald Trump definitely. Well, he has charisma. There's no doubt about that. He's able to relate to people very well. And I would agree that maybe there is a proportion of women specifically that do not like his aggressive, potentially mean, go get him attitude. There are some women that like that about him. But I think, Gloria, I think you're right on the money. We're not, I always tell people, we're not electing Donald Trump for Pope. We're not electing him for ambassador. We're electing him for a very, very specific job, and that is president of the United States. And we need a strong leader. We need somebody that will do what they say they will do. Something, we need a leader that when he says, he or she, for that matter, says something, it commands respect, because our adversaries know that this is the kind of guy, the kind of woman you don't want to mess with. And I think that's right on the spot, Gloria. He may have his faults, as we all have our faults. I mean, no one's perfect, right? But for this particular job at this particular time, I think Donald Trump is the right tool that we need to start down this road of getting our country back to where it should be. So again, when you hear all these people saying, well, Donald Trump is this, Donald Trump is that, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on what they're saying. But at the end of the day, Donald Trump is what we need in this particular position because he's respected. People fear him. I think it was President Ronald Reagan that said the first thing you need to do when you become president is you got to let the Russians know that you are crazy enough to push the button, or words to that effect. And I think that's right on the money. I mean, so I think that's where we need to. I think that's where we need to go with that. All right, let's switch gears and let's talk about our favorite Fani. And of course, we're talking about sweet Fani Willis right here. So let me pull this up here. We're going to share this screen now. She's at it again. I know that's shocking. Remember, not only was she fiercely admonished by let's say judge number one, pertaining to inappropriate comments she was making and activities she was engaging in when she was supporting the an opponent of one of the individuals she was trying to throw in jail in this RICO case. Yes, you heard me right. She has, let's just say, candidate number one is running against candidate number two. Well, she was trying to make candidate number two part of this RICO case and throw this individual in prison. At the same time, candidate number one, she's having a fundraiser for her. And of course, the judge that heard that particular case was not happy. Again, there's a video I made some time ago about it. And we are all very familiar with Ashley Merchant's motion to have DA Fani Willis and her entire team disqualified. Unfortunately, Scott McAfee did not see it that way. It was kind of a split the baby decision, which is unfortunate at best. And we all know that that is being appealed as we speak. And I, despite what other people say, I am confident that the Georgia Court of Appeals will take it up because it's an important case. This is the kind of case they look for when there is not enough case law or written law, for that matter, to specifically give the courts guidance as to what they should or shouldn't do. And I would think that the Court of Appeals, above all, would not want a trial to go forward and there to be some type of reversal of the trial because DA Fani Willis should have been removed. Clearly, she has benefited from this position. Clearly, this is a situation where she has been able to line her pockets, become famous in the history books by essentially stealing money from the Fulton County taxpayers and the federal government in the form of them COVID funds. And we don't know what other type of malfeasance are going on. I'm a strong believer Fani Willis is going to get her day, if you know what I'm saying. Sooner or later, she's going to be held to account for the nonsense she has engaged in and the damage she's done to the court system and our nation. It may not be today, but I do think it is coming. So you have all these times that Fani Willis has done A, B, C, and D, and she keeps getting away with it, or she's slapped on the hand or whatever. Here she is again. Okay. So we all remember her going to church. Remember Fani going to church? Fani was at church. We'll take a peek at that video here in a second. But here she is just the other day. She was told not to talk about race. She was told not to be making inappropriate comments, but that didn't stop sweet Fani. Here we go. Let's take a peek at this here.
And it's hard out here always having to prove yourself 2 and 3 times. Recently, they tell me they don't like me to talk about race. Well, I'm going to talk about it anyway. Truth is, it's some challenges that come to being Black. And I see so much greatness in this city that has so many great African American leaders. And I appreciate all of the sacrifice that you all have had to make to be in these positions. So, Chief Meadows, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for having the intelligence to create an event like this where we recognize that you've had to go through a little more to serve.
Yeah, just absolutely unbelievable. This is the captioner says Fani Willis doubles down, says she's been told not to talk about race, but she has to keep talking about it because these are the challenges that come with being Black. Black people have to prove themselves 2 or 3. Folks, you know, in my opinion, what makes this really, really sad is these type of comments. All this does is it sends the wrong message to children that are minorities, really to adults that are minorities, because all it does, in the words of Clarence Thomas, one of the great Supreme Court justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, said all that happens when this type of rhetoric is spoken is it makes every Black individual in the country a victim. It tells Black people that you're entitled. It tells Black Americans that somehow you've been wronged, that you are owed something. You're a victim. And it's unfortunate that she keeps up with this nonsense. She gets her daddy on the stage that has to explain, hey, listen, you know, the whole world doesn't know this, but Black people, they're different. We keep lots of money in our house. It's just the way we are, and that needs to be explained. And because she's Black, she has to struggle. Folks, we all have to struggle. We all have our problems. Is there racism in the world? Is there nastiness going on? Of course there is. But she clearly is using it as a crutch. She's using it as an excuse. She's using it like a game of Monopoly, and this is her get out of jail free card. Because again, when you say something about race and somebody that looks like me says what I just said, most people get scared. They just shut up. And I will have to tell you, there was a time in my life I would probably shut up because I would be having my own businesses operating. I would have a family I have to support, whatever. And I don't need to be going through what Donald Trump is going through right now. I don't want to bring the wrath of the government down on me or to have people mad at me for whatever reason. And it could undermine my ability to support myself or my family. Now, I'm older. I don't have those issues no more. My kids are all adults. I don't care. So I can now switch gears and try to help us all by doing exactly what I'm doing right now. That is my prayer. That is definitely my hope. And I hope for Fani Willis' sake that she stops this nonsense. It has to be stopped and called out for what it is, which is complete nonsense. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. I should say nightmare lane. And let's just see what the AME Church allowed Sweet Fani to say from the pulpit. You know, it's just unbelievable, but this is what happened. So here we go.
I'm just being honest. This is me and my Lord talking. God, I don't really want to do that. I ain't feeling it. God, do as I said, child. I am using her to grow you.
Can you imagine the hubris you have to think that you can stand before a bunch of people in a church building and lie and commit blaspheming and to take the Lord's name essentially in vain and to say these type of things? It just gives me chills every time I hear this nonsense.
Pray for her. I am using all of these experiences to fortify you. Flawed, hard-headed, imperfect me. Pray for her? Yes. But dear God, are you listening? Why does Commissioner Thorne and so many others question my decision in a special counsel? Lord, you're flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child. I'm a little confused. I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do. Paid them all the same hourly rate.
That was a flat lie. So on top of everything I just said, she lied. She lied in the house of the Lord, and she knew she lied at the time she lied, because evidence, proof has been brought forward that she definitely paid her lover boy, paramour, Nathan Wade, what was it, 2 or 3 times the rate the other attorneys were making. One of the other prosecutors is an actual RICO expert, unlike Nathan Wade, and he was paid what, half, a third, something like that, of what he was paid. Ridiculous.
Only attacked one. I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and great lawyer, a superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, and a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar.
Oh yeah, he's a superstar, wasn't he, Fanny? Yeah, he's just well, we'll just let it go. We want to keep it a nice PG type of commentary here, but we know exactly why he was your superstar, Fanny, and it's unfortunate. We know that you're making a ton of money, paid upwards up to $1 million that she allowed to be squandered in this bogus prosecution / persecution of Donald Trump. It is just unbelievably insane. So let's talk about what she has been saying. Remember what we just watched on YouTube, and then remember we got this train coming. Okay, so for y'all that haven't heard this, I want to make sure that everybody's brought up to speed. So let me share my screen once again, because I got something I want to build up to here. Okay, let's take a quick peek at this here.
All right, this CNN exclusive. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is defending herself, her reputation, and her team's work in her first public comments since Judge Scott McAfee's decision to keep her on the election subversion case. CNN's Rafael Romo is with us now on how CNN caught up with Willis and what she had to say today.
Yeah, I have to give credit to our very dynamic producer, Jade, Tim Garcia, who managed to get this interview. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis spent her Saturday at an Easter egg hunt. The event was put together by WAVE, an organization of law enforcement officers dedicated to helping children and the homeless throughout the year. Willis was surprisingly candid, Fred, regarding questions about the last few months of her life, including her Georgia election interfering case against Donald Trump, and the scandal brought about by her prior romantic relationship with special prosecutor she appointed for the case. We wanted to know if she feels like she needs to reclaim her reputation, and this was her reply.
I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done. I guess my greatest crime is I had a relationship with a man, but that's not something that I find embarrassing in any way. And I know that I have not done anything that's illegal.
The racketeering case was delayed by 2 months. So let's remember, following the revelations about her personal life, her decision-making credibility was also damaged in the eyes of Judge Scott McAfee. But the embattled Fulton County District Attorney said the main case was not delayed because her team never stopped working on it. Let's take a listen.
No, my team's been continuing to work, and I think the media, and especially organizations like your own, have been paying attention. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
The train is coming, she said, Fred, if you didn't hear that. And CNN reported exclusively on Thursday, Willis plans to press ahead with her goal of putting Donald Trump on trial before the November election. According to 3 people familiar with her plans, she also intends to ask the judge presiding over the Georgia criminal case to schedule a trial date as soon as this summer. And finally, and this is very important, Fred, let's remember that Willis is seeking to get reelected in November. So she's got a lot on her plate, to say the least.
That is a lot, but she sounds very confident.
Isn't that amazing? You have Fani Willis. She actually, again, the only word I can think of is hubris. I mean, these people are narcissistic. They really have a seriously exaggerated opinion. I guess thinking back to one of my school classes, she suffers from what I call, what do they say, delusions of grandeur. I mean, she thinks she's something that she's not. She has nothing to be embarrassed for. You know, back in my time, if you were caught sleeping or admitted sleeping with someone that was married, this was not something to be proud of. This was not something that you smiled about and said, I have nothing to be upset about or to regret or to be embarrassed about. And for the record, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Wow. Just absolutely, absolutely incredible to the length that these people will go thinking that this is okay and that other people are just going to ignore it. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it's just it's somewhat surreal to me. It's like we're in the Twilight Zone, like a real bad, like a real bad episode of the Twilight Zone or something. Because this is not correct, and y'all's comments are right on the money. I appreciate these comments, and we're going to switch to one other subject before we split. I think this is going to be of interesting. Zach, note that she said, "Yeah, greatest crime on the yeah, absolutely." And my friend Gloria, Fani Willis, is wishful thinking. She'll be charged with extorting money from the government through a board. Yeah, I hope so. I hope if she's guilty of that, which clearly it looks like she is, that she's brought up and she's held to be accountable. I firmly believe that that new commission from the Senate, the Georgia State Senate for clarification, that is a new entity to overlook and see what prosecutors are doing or DAs are doing or not doing. They have the power to remove her. Remember, why? The question is, why is current Governor Brian Kemp not going after as hard as he could right now? And I think the reason for that, as we've talked about several times, is unfortunately, when this all went down back in 2020, Donald Trump really, really leaned hard on Rathenberger, the Secretary of State there. And then, of course, the current governor was the governor then, Brian Kemp, and Donald Trump did not have polite things to say about him, and he just kind of made enemies of the Republicans that are in power right there, and I don't think that they are really motivated to help him out, and I don't really hear that televised. As a matter of fact, I've never heard that stated anywhere else, but I'm stating it right now, and I'm definitely giving you my opinion of exactly what's going on here. Sapphire Ashley Merchant testified that she called every DA's office in Georgia, asked them, she did do that, what their rate is, special prosecutor that they between 40 and 50 hours because they get to maintain their. I heard that too. She called around. One thing about Ashley Merchant, y'all know I just love her to death, and she is tenacious. I mean, she's the definition of the word tenacious. She is like I know we call the other attorney Shadow the bulldog, but I mean, she really gets in there and she does not let up. She is what you call a very, very technical lawyer, very good technical lawyer. She finds these records and she does not release until she has what she needs on there. Monique, thank you for your comment. Appreciate you joining us again. Sorry about getting cut off the other day. I don't know if y'all heard my statement earlier in the program, but we had an issue with the the view. When we're showing certain video clips, I should be allowed to show whatever I want to show because it's a news commentary, video reaction type channel. When it's considered fair use, I can talk about it. I'm educating, I'm making points about it. Generally, I can show whatever I like to show. And when it comes to the view, they don't see it that way. Sometimes I get away with it, sometimes I don't. If it happens again, hopefully it won't happen again, but if it ever did, as soon as I stop showing whatever it is I got on the screen, it should bring back the live stream, but there's no guarantee on that. But I wanted to apologize about that because I remember you being here when that was all going on. So at any rate, it happens, but we still had a good hour that we were able to visit together. And y'all know that I'm still relatively new as far as the live streaming type stuff is concerned. And I appreciate y'all's understanding on that. But yeah, I agree. She's an embarrassment to Black people. You know what, Monique, you're right. She's an embarrassment to all people. She's an embarrassment. What worries me about her is not just the damage she's causing to our Constitution. She is setting a terrible example for others, for specifically young Black women or any minority group for that matter. Because let's be honest about it. We all, when we're children, we look up to people that are in these positions, and she's on TV all the time, and they understand on some level, depending on the child's age, what she's doing. And when she tells people that I'm a victim because I'm black and we're different because we're black, and black people don't understand us. You know, we have to keep a lot of money in our house. We do this, we do that. It's just not helpful. It does not invite unity. It sends kids the wrong message. I think you're right on with your comment, Monique. She is an embarrassment to black people, and that is unfortunate because we're never going to achieve equity. That is a lie. That is one of these woke lies. But what we can achieve is everybody get a fair shake. In other words, everybody gets an opportunity. And that's what we try to accomplish with the Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our freedoms, is that nothing's going to be equitable. So when you hear that out there in the press and you hear people say, oh, we have to be equitable, we have to this, we have to, that's a lie. There's nothing equitable in life. For example, some people, when they're born, they may have a problem. They may have a birth defect. And none of us are ever 100% the same, but we sure can all enjoy freedom. We can all enjoy our life and be able to worship the way we want, be able to marry who we want and be around who we want, and the freedom to assemble. Am I making sense on this? I hope y'all are understanding what I'm trying to bring across. And Monique, you put a fine tip on this, and I appreciate that comment because she is an embarrassment to everyone. And I'll take your comment as is. She is a embarrassment to black people. Thank you for sharing that with us all. Okay, I want to talk about this next subject, which is Robert F. Kennedy. What about this? We have not talked much about this. I had one video I made about him. I'm trying to think how long ago it was, but it was kind of when the buzz was first going on. What do y'all think about Robert F. Kennedy joining this race here? Let's take a peek at this here. Do you think it's going to help Trump? Do you think it's going to hurt Donald Trump? Do you think it matters? Do you think it hurts Biden more? I'm curious what your opinion is, and then I'm going to share my opinion. I like him, but he's not my candidate. He's a little, and again, I'm just giving my opinion. I'm trying to stall giving my opinion because I want to see what y'all think about it before I give you my opinion. If anybody cares to opine, feel free. I think that's a Bill O'Reilly word, opine. If you would like to make a comment, go ahead and do so, because I'm about to make some comments of my own here. And essentially, this guy's a little on the out there. He's a little on the fringe. I don't agree with everything that he says. However, there are things I like about him. And don't forget, the Democratic Party, they are a very nostalgic party. They love John F. Kennedy. They love Robert F. Kennedy. You know, they love the name Kennedy. They love their Kennedys. And that can be a problem. And I think that's the reason why the Biden White House is coming out so firmly against us. So let's see if we can hear this. And it's a short little speech, and let's make some commentary about it.
Over the last 5 years, our country has become something unrecognizable. Journalists have exposed a massive censorship complex. Federal agencies like the FBI, the IRS, the Justice Department, and even the Secret Service have been weaponized against political opponents. We're subject to constant surveillance. The government wraps itself in lies and secrets. Corruption is pervasive within the regulatory agency and the halls of power. There's only one thing that can turn this all around. And if you thought I was going to say that it's me, you were mistaken. That's not something that I can do alone. But if enough people want to reclaim our country, I can be your instrument. I'll be the sledgehammer that the American people will wield to smash apart the corrupt merger of the state and corporate power. But I can only do that with your active support before and after I enter the White House. And right now, what you can do is to invest in my campaign. Donate whatever you can. And I promise you that I'm going to redeem the trust that you put in me. And together we'll show that we, the people, can take back our power.
I think that's a pretty good commercial. What do y'all think about that? I think that's good. I think that's about the best he could do. It looked professional, put together, conveys what he wants to convey. And Monique, once again, I appreciate you sharing with us. I think it hurts Biden more. And I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think it's a pretty well no-brainer. They've been talking about in the news that this could hurt Trump severely. This is bad news for Trump. I don't think so. I would say that he'd probably draw voters from both parties, but clearly he's a lifelong Democrat. If I get the opportunity next time we get together, I will try to pull up a recent video that his sister was all over TV. Can you imagine how odd this has to be? His sister's on TV. The whole family, for that matter, are doing everything they can to essentially condemn Kennedy's campaign for president. Can you imagine the family reunions or getting together for dinner or Thanksgiving dinner? I mean, take your pick. How odd would that be? You know, that you got your sister out there telling everybody don't vote for you and what a terrible president you would be, and you support a president like Joe Biden that can barely function. I got a lot more to talk about in the days and weeks to come on this. And but if you think about it, wouldn't that be odd? What an odd, terrible situation it would be to be there for Thanksgiving. I don't know. Doesn't sound like a fun time to me. Gloria, I would not vote for him. It doesn't matter. He came from an extremely Democrat. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. You may be right. My personal opinion, as I said, I think it is very bad news for Joe Biden. I think this election is going to come down. Unfortunately, it's going to still be a close election. As unbelievable as that sounds, I still think it's going to be close. It's going to come down to 5 or 6 states. I'll name the states later. It's going to come down to 5 or 6 different states. It's probably going to be a few thousand votes either way that's going to actually determine the next president of the United States. I really wish it wasn't like that, but that's our system. And I do like the electoral college process. It's just kind of weird and scary that it's going to come down to just a few states, a few voters like that. Why do you think President Joe Biden, his administration are turning so hard against Israel right now? Make no mistake about it, they want a 2-state solution, but the 2 states are the state of Michigan and probably the state of Minnesota, because they have a very heavy presence, or I should say population, of Muslim individuals there, especially Michigan. Michigan has a lot of Muslims that have settled there for whatever reason. Folks, remember this: when you have what was it, about 13% of the voting populace in the primary, they took time after work to go to the polls and to vote none of the above, or what was it? None of the above, or uncommitted. They wanted to vote on. I was thinking of that movie. Remember that movie, None of the Above? that's kind of cute. But at any rate, they took time out of their busy day. They got families to support and feed. They got off work. They went down and they voted, and 10 to 13% of them voted for uncommitted. That is sending a strong message in the president's mind, and that's the reason why you see him waffling on Israel. That's the reason why his administration at the UN the other day abstaining from throwing out a motion that essentially condemned Israel and called for Israel to withdraw out of the Gaza Strip. So I don't want to drill too far down on that, but that is that's sad. That is just really ridiculous. Gloria says the Democrats was the ones that started all this warfare. Yeah, it is sad. I want to let y'all know this on a positive note. I think our country has beautiful, fantastic days ahead. I think we are all so fortunate. We all won the lottery being born in this country. You've heard me say it, and I'll say it again. When I bleed, it's red, white, and blue. I love our country. I love our people. I love everything about America. But this is not a perfect place. We definitely have problems. We are at risk for losing our great country. It's just not words. It's not hyperbole. It's true. It is very true. We run the risk of losing a bunch of the freedoms that we all enjoy right now because of these woke liberal individuals that think they know how you should live and how I should live. They use gaslighting on race, gaslighting on a list of subjects to keep us all mad and PO'd all the time. They think they know what's best for you and what's best for me. They want the border open because they think it's a power grab for the future. They know there's no way to send back 40, 50, 60 million people They know that that is a practical impossibility, and they figure, I don't think they figure correctly, but they do figure that all of these Latinos that are coming over, that this is a vote for the Democratic Party. And I just don't think that that is going to be the way it is. As a matter of fact, when it comes to the black vote right now, especially with black men, President Trump is leading in that category right now. And I believe he's leading with the Latino vote right now. That definitely has the Biden administration very worried. And the polls, every time the polls come out, and you have to take a grain of salt with the polls, it's looking very good for Donald Trump at this stage. But remember, November is a long way off, and we have to stay vigilant and we have to stay on top of this. We truly all have to work together, shed light on this indoctrination, and make sure the Democrats do not get away with this nonsense that they're trying to cram down our throats. I know together we can do this, and we can make this stop and make our country a better place. I'm a firm believer in that. Hey, if you're still with me, you might as well go ahead, hit the thumbs up button. Please like, share, subscribe, send this video to a family member or somebody that you think might benefit from the message that we have. I want everybody to think for themselves. Don't take my word for it. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's right. But at least we can talk about whatever subjects we need to talk about, shed light on it, and make an informed, intelligent decision instead of just accepting like a mindless herd whatever nonsense the Democrats, the liberals, these deep state individuals have in mind. We have to stop this lawfare. We have to call it out for what it is, and we have to do better in the future. And I'm so confident that we can. So I ran over a little bit longer than I normally go, but I want you to know I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you taking time to join me today and to have a conversation with me. I always say, keep that mind free. Never give up, my friends. And until next time, I am J.R. Dukes.